Purple rain, purple rain. Many people know that song. It is, of course, a song by the legendary and newly late great Prince the musician. In tribute, I've decided to collect a series of horror music stories in the recording studio that may just leave you terrified. The recording studio that my story took place in is located in the city of Richmond on Broad Street near the VCU campus. It's situated on a section of two large story buildings that are very old. When you walk in the building, you instantly feel the history and a sense of a unique energy that presides. The studio consists of two large rooms, each used for recording. The front room is divided from the back room with a balcony that has been enclosed and houses the recording control room above. Underneath the balcony are smaller rooms used for equipment storage. The large back room is where we did most of our recording. It has a small stage and stairs leading down to a basement. My band contracted with this studio to record a CD of 10 songs. The first day, our goal was to record all of the drums and bass along with scratch track vocals. The drummer set up on the backstage room. The guitar player set up in the large room in front of the drummer, and I was in the isolated room underneath the balcony. We started recording at noon, and the plan was to continue until midnight. Each time we finished recording a song, I walked alone upstairs to the balcony to the control room to listen to the work that we had just accomplished. For convenience sake, I walked through the front room and up the stairs to get to the balcony. At about 11 o'clock that night, I was walking up to the control room through the large front room, which was now very dark. I was suddenly struck by a distinct feeling that someone was watching me. This was followed by a sense of cold. I shrugged it off and continued upstairs. Each time that I traveled through this part of the building, however, the sense that there was something interesting got stronger. I didn't share this with the others at the time. At about 11:35 p.m., I was coming down the stairs in the front room, and I saw what I thought was a dark shadow pass by the base of the stairs. I quickly backed up and went around the other direction through the balcony. Everyone was tired, and we were having equipment problems, so we decided to stop for the night. I turned off my gear and went home. The next day, I returned and immediately turned on my amp. Mysteriously, the amp would not work. I later found out that overnight, it somehow tripped out on a short circuit. Now, I'm a master electrician with 33 years of experience, and I know that this was very, very odd. I mentioned how strange this was to my bandmates, and I told them that I had strange experiences in the front room. Two of the others also admitted to having strange feelings while in there that night. Then one of them said, "Did you see the blood stain in Blood Trail?" I said, "No, show me." Sure enough, stained into the wooden floors is what looks like a blood stain. Coming from the stain is what looks like a blood trail. In fact, you can follow the blood trail from the stain all the way to the railing that goes down into the basement. On one of the steps that at the bottom of the basement is what also looks like a blood stain. We recorded there more times during the evening, but we all avoided going into that specific front room. Personally, I surrounded myself energetically with white light and tried to protect myself from any negativity. But the feeling was, stay out of the front room, And that's what I did. I don't know how much of a ghost story this really is. It's not all that dramatic, but there does seem to be physical evidence that something violent happened there. The equipment malfunctioning was very unusual, but the sound engineer told me that it happens frequently to musicians. Also, I'm not the kind of guy to get spooked, but I was a little freaked out. I think that this studio would be a great place to investigate paranormal activity. They already have very expensive sound equipment in place for recording sounds and noises. If there is a non-physical entity there, he or she is not happy and really could benefit from someone helping find the light. Hello, fellow ghost friends. I worked at Paramount Pictures back in the 1990s and can tell you from my own experiences, it is quite haunted. Stage 19 in particular. A friend of mine worked on the TV show Wings, which was shot on stage 19. Also, where they shot Happy Days, the security guards always say that soundstage is very haunted by ghosts, including the little girl, Heather O'Rourke, who was in Poltergeist and died very young. She was on Happy Days towards the end of the show's run. One night, I met my friend outside the soundstage. Everyone was gone for the evening, and he told me he had to go back in to get something. So we unlocked the door and turned on the main overhead lights. We went to the stage in front of the bleachers where the studio audience sat, and he picked up a script from a table and said, "Okay, let's go." Right at that split second, the lights went out, and we were in inky darkness. All you could see was the green lights from the exit signs above the doors behind the bleachers. Then we heard what sounded like laughter and someone running across the wood catwalks above us, where all the lighting was. There was absolutely no one else in that soundstage, and we were told that the little girl used to love to play on the catwalks. The studio is on the same block, back to back with the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Makes for fun nighttime strolls through the lot. Anyone else know any other ghost sightings at my beloved studio? There was a security guard who, while on one of his routine patrols, noticed a young gentleman wandering around the New York area of the Paramount backlot. The studio had long since closed for the day, so the guard walked up to the man who looked to be in his late 20s and told the man he would have to leave. After doing so, the man smiled at the security guard and, much to the security guard's shock, walked right through the wall. What was on the other side of the wall? Hollywood Forever Cemetery. In the security guard's incident report, he gave a complete description of the man he had seen. When asked by his commanding officer the next day if he looked like this guy, and the guard was handed a picture, the guard replied that it was indeed the man. "That's impossible," said the commander. "Why so?" "That's Rudolph Valentino. He died in New York City in 1926. The security guard quit his job that day. The story begins here. It was June 2010, and my band, formerly known as Things Behind the Sun, and now is called Becoming the Ghost, after we got our name from this particular incident, was recording a demo for solicitation purposes. Now, I knew of a certain event, namely a homicide, that had taken place in my apartment involving the previous tenants, but never could have dreamed that the events would unfold as they did. On June 22nd, 2010, we were in my apartment recording our song titled "You Learn the Hard Way," when I noticed a strange noise coming through the mix. I am the producer as well as the drummer for this band, so I quickly opened the raw tracks to find that I initially thought was a mistake on the guitarist's behalf. What I found would change everything. There was a very strange, almost digital form of a woman's voice that appeared to be singing along to one of the guitar's tracks. I couldn't believe my ears. I got freaked out and called the other members of my band in the room to see if it was just me that heard it, because it was very low, almost inaudible next to the guitar, but every one of them heard it. I got freaked out and called it a night. The next day, our landlord came by, as he does every single Wednesday, so I decided to ask him a little bit more about what happened here with the previous tenants. I found out that it was a murder-suicide that took place involving a husband and wife dispute. My landlord then proceeded to tell me that the woman was stabbed in the room we record in, and that she was pronounced dead on the back stairs of my apartment at 2:38 a.m. Of course, this freaked me out even more. The next week, when we continued mixing, we opened the track again to hear the sound. Our singer pointed out that noises on the track began at 2 minutes 38 seconds. Coincidence? I think not. Since we document our recording sessions, you can see the exact moment I found by checking out the video footage. Thank you. The Portrait Studio. I've always loved taking pictures and catching the beauty of even flawed things. When the ad flew for a position at the studio, I couldn't pass it up. I've been working at this portrait studio for a little over a year now, and I have to admit that it can be a bit creepy at times, especially when you are on single coverage at night. However, this isn't anything that a normal, rational adult can shake off with a bottle of pepper spray handedly. Some things you just can't explain away though. One day, I was working with my boss, and we were waiting for our first sitting. She was talking to me about what to expect for the day, and we both saw a person walk by the door to the camera room. We walked out expecting to see our clients, but nobody was there. The direction they walked only led to a wall with picture, a storage closet that is locked, and our office that was also locked. She confided in me she'd been seeing things like that more and more lately. I looked at her with an apparently shocked look. "You have too?" I asked and laughed slightly. She nodded and proceeded to tell me that she'd been seeing shadows in the shape of a little girl move around the studio. I sighed with relief and told her that I'd been seeing the same thing since I started working on my own at night. The rest of the day went by uneventfully until my boss clocked off at 5, leaving me to close 2 hours later. Since there was no more scheduled sittings, I decided to clean the studio since it was going to be completely busy the next day. I went about dusting everything, and after that was done, I took out the Lysol spray. I sprayed the plastic chairs in the waiting room and looked for my rag. I located it by my POS and went back to the chairs. I wiped off the first few without noticing anything, but when I got to the fourth, there was a small handprint smeared into the Lysol. I'm no stranger to the paranormal, so I laughed slightly and looked around. "You want to help me clean?" I heard a small giggle coming from behind me, and I shook my head and continued cleaning. I still hear giggles and see the shapes moving around the studio at night. Well, that's it for Haunted Studio Ghost Stories. If you like this particular video, want to support me in any way, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe for more of these videos because it's fun to share in the excitement of actually, doing things that are horror related. Haha. Anyway, thanks again so much again for the 100+ subscribers. I know I stated that in my last video, but I really do appreciate it, and it's so meaningful to me. So thank you so much. I hope to build on that, and I hope that I make more of these kinds of videos. I really enjoyed this one as well. So thank you so much again for sticking it out and listening to my horrible voice. Alright, take it easy, and I'll see you in the next video.